Hey, everybody in our Mormon Enlightenment community. I'm Crystal Escobar. In case any of you don't know who I am, me and my husband, Sean, are the founders of the Mormon Enlightenment Facebook group. And we've been sharing our journey leaving the church over on the podcast. We did have it called Mormon Enlightenment for a while, but I changed it back to the original name, which is Wanna Be Balanced, which was my podcast that I had as a Mormon. And then when we left the church, I shared the whole journey, leaving from episode 21 to 100. So if anyone's interested in hearing our story and all of that and the things that we had to process over the years, then you can check out that podcast. But this new thing that I'm doing right now for the community is really all about growth. I know that the Mormon Enlightenment space is very, very therapeutic, and it's so good for all of us to have a safe space to vent and to process and to be able to express a lot of the things that we don't feel we're able to express with other people. So that's the purpose of this Mormon Enlightenment community. But the purpose of these interviews that I'm just starting out is to talk about the growth aspect of our journey out of Mormonism, some things that we've learned, overcome some of the pitfalls. So today I have Leon. Am I saying your name correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Leon. I don't really know anything about, well, I see that you have he, they, like, how would you like me to address you?
Either he, they, either of them work. I'm bouncing kind
Okay.
of between trying to find out who I am at the minute.
Okay, good. Okay, good to know. And I want to be respectful. So I'm sorry if I don't um, do it properly. I really just want to do what I just feel like I want to make sure that I respect where you're at, but I also hope that you can have understanding if I make mistakes. So
I'm really forgiving, luckily.
Okay, thank you. But I'm so excited that you're on today because I don't know anything about you, and but I am excited to hear a little bit of your background as well as some of the things, because you've been out for a while, right? Because I'm only
Uh,
interviewing people that have been out for a few years or more. And
yeah.
so that's, how many years has it been for you?
Coming up to 5 this year. I came out
Oh,
just after I got pregnant. So
okay. Awesome. So yay, I really look forward to talking with people who've been out for a while, because I know that you've had the time to process so much, and I know that you have some things that you can offer many of the members in our community, as far as advice, some words of encouragement and hope, and all of that. So first, tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into some other questions that I'll start asking you as they come.
so I had to figure out how old I was. So I'm 26.
Okay.
I'm from England. I'm from a little town called Stoke-on-Trent. We're
Oh,
home with the pottery. We're the reason we have pottery. So yeah, I there's not really much. I'm trans, if people haven't picked up on that. Oh,
sorry, I just remembered it to record it because it's going to go on the YouTube, the Mormon Enlightenment YouTube channel. So sorry about that. Keep
it's
going.
right. So I'm trans. I came out as transgender just under 2 years ago after finally leaving and dealing with trauma around gender identity. I have a beautiful, beautiful little girl who is very blissfully asleep,
Oh, nice.
which is a miracle because she's never asleep this early.
Oh,
Um, she's normally still running ragged, but I have a beautiful little 3 year old
so are
who
you in
is.
England right now?
I am.
Oh,
I'm.
okay. So is it late?
It's 8:10 at night, so it's not too bad.
Okay,
I'm
that's
normally up
really
until
fun.
about midnight. Midnight 1 a.m. is my bedtime at the minute.
Yes.
Due,
This
due
is
to
fun. I've
gaming.
never talked to, I have not interviewed anyone yet overseas. So this is exciting.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah, so she's the light of my life, but also the biggest pain in my life because we're going through. We miss terrible twos. We've got terrible threes.
Oh,
But yeah, I live with my mum and my older brother at the minute just because pandemic, and we wanted to like be together so we didn't have to follow stupid rules about not visiting or traveling. So I moved back home and decided I'm not leaving
yeah.
because it's cheaper. And
yeah, it
it's
is
constant,
cheaper.
constant childcare. I've always got someone to be like, hey, I'm working late. Can you have it?
Yeah. So, did you grow up in the church
I
or?
didn't. I grew up in a church. I grew up between the Catholics and the Methodists.
Oh, really?
Mum was a Catholic, dad was a Methodist. So going on whose weekend it was. Divorced parents. Fun childhood trauma that was. But yeah, I grew up bouncing between the both churches. So I had an idea of God. And then when I was like, 14, I bowed out for football or soccer
Oh, yeah, yeah.
for your American viewers. But yeah, I bowed out for soccer. We had a deal that if I could get myself there and back in time for lunch, I could go. So I got a paper round, made my own money, paid for my own bus tickets, and got myself to soccer and back every Sunday.
Good job. So you when were you in the Mormon church then?
So I got baptized July of 2014. So I wasn't in the church for very long, if you
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah, not very long.
I was in and out really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you have missionaries come talk to you, or how did that happen?
Oh, I like my conversion story because it's a very unique one I get told.
Okay.
I actually cycling home from college one day, or like the last 2 years of high school. So I was like senior year of high school for you guys. Cycling home from college, and my push bike broke. The chain got stuck. I was over it by that time of night,
Yeah.
and a guy stopped. Was like, "Hey, I fix bikes. Can I help you?" I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. But sure, please just help me get home." And he was a member. And he was like, "Hey, we've got these two girls coming around for lunch, like tea. Do you want to stay?" I'm like, "Can't stay. Gotta get home. Gotta get ready for work." And yeah, so that was he sent them around at 10 o'clock, well, 10:30 on a Saturday morning. We'll get into this a bit more, but what they didn't know was I was planning on ending my life that Saturday. And they came around half an hour earlier than they should have.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of took that as a sign.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so these little two 19-year-olds knocked on my door. Like, they weren't much older than me. There was like probably a few months between us because I was 18 at the time.
Okay.
So these two like little Canadian girls knocked on my door and was like, "Hi!" I'm like, Saturday morning, chill up, leave. But yeah, so 3 weeks later, I was baptized.
Oh, wow.
Super quick dunking.
Yeah. So then what was your experience like in the church then? For how many years was it?
Oh my gosh, I started to leave in 2018. So
Okay.
what, 4 years? Just under 4 years?
Okay. And
Didn't last very long.
what was your overall experience and what caused you to decide, wait a minute, I don't know if this is for me?
I mean, honestly, and I always say this, and I always feel bad about it, but I never was 100% in. I
Okay.
always had issues with things like the family proclamation. I hadn't
Okay.
come out at that point. I was very much still in the closet in all aspects of my life.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the family proclamation. I didn't like the fact that if I was gay and in a relationship, I had to be interviewed by someone else to be
Oh,
baptized. So I wasn't 100% in.
yeah.
I was like, fire insurance. Let's get baptized for fire insurance, right?
Yeah.
But it was okay. The members were nice to the point of, hey, this is everything that's going on. You should join. They got me involved in the YSA stuff really quickly because I was too old to technically be in Young Women's.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Young Women's for a week.
Okay.
Because the sisters were teaching it.
Oh,
Yeah. So I was like
the
18.
because the what?
The sister missionaries were teaching Young
Oh, I
Women's
see.
when I went.
Okay.
And like,
Yeah.
hey, we're not going to just like ball you out on your first week. Just stick
Yeah.
with us. But the members were nice until I got baptized. And then the sisters left. My sisters got whitewashed out and replaced with elders.
Yeah.
which didn't go down very well in my eyes. I was like, but they're my best friends.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, members stopped inviting me around for family meetings, and they stopped inviting me around because I didn't fit the mold. I wouldn't wear skirts. I wouldn't wear dresses.
Yeah.
Oh, don't get me wrong, I didn't rock up in tracksuit bottoms. I wore like jeans and shirts.
Yeah.
So as soon as like my sisters left and I stopped being involved with the missionaries as much, they kind of like not backed off, but it was oh hey, how are you on a Sunday?
Yeah.
But yeah, so
We have somebody on Facebook asking question, Kelly. She's asking if you had ever had a calling while you were in.
oh yeah, so I was a ward missionary
Oh, okay.
because I refused to serve a full-time mission.
Okay, yeah.
Like hands down, I was like, I am not paying £10,000. That
Yeah.
is way too much to pull out of my back pocket. So I was
Yeah.
a ward missionary. I did a mini mission, and essentially, I was the missionary's babysitter for 4 years.
Yeah. And then so you didn't like the family proclamation. Overall, your experience was okay, but then what was that turning point for you?
So the turning point for me was getting pregnant outside of obviously wedlock.
Oh, okay.
Like I was 22, turning 23, very much not married.
Mm.
BTW, the dad is a member
Oh, still?
still.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's the fact that we both went to the bishop. I was very much for staying in the church. I was like, let me fix my faith. Like, it's a me problem. Let me fix my faith. So I'll go to bishop. And it was the fact that I couldn't partake of the sacrament for a few weeks, but he still got the priesthood. He still got given
what?
the Melchizedek priesthood, right? So that
Oh
was the
my.
first hold on, the
Yeah.
protecting the priesthood members, but not the females.
Yeah.
So we went to bishop and he was like, hey, don't take sacrament. I was like, fair enough. I screwed up. I broke the law of chastity, fair enough. But it was the fact that the following week he got given the priesthood, whilst I was sitting there unable to take sacrament.
Yes.
Kind of broke
Wow.
my heart a little bit. I was like, well,
Yes,
that's
for
messed
sure.
up.
Yeah. So that was the first incident.
Yeah.
Were there more?
There was a lot more, but due to legal reasons, I probably can't go into them.
Yeah, maybe just tell us the one towards the end, and then we can dive into a little bit more of your experience afterwards.
Oh, so the last one was the fact that I tried to go back to church after Little was born and tried to get her blessed because I thought that was the right thing to do as a parent, to
Yeah.
give her that opportunity to know God as she grew up. And I essentially got denied because I was out as gay and trans.
Oh my. And they would not bless your baby.
They wouldn't bless her. I was like, listen, I don't need to be a member for her to be blessed. There's nothing in the handbook.
Yeah.
There was obviously the issue of when it became time to baptize her, there was issues because that policy was still very much in place.
Yeah.
But there was nothing stopping them blessing him in the handbook, but they just wouldn't.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's just one of those unfortunate things that you I'm glad that we're able to talk with you having that experience because, not everybody has that experience, and so it's nice for you to be someone who can speak up for the people who are experiencing the same thing that many of us are unaware that is even affecting others, because it's not within our experience. So I appreciate you sharing that. And that is unfortunate that you had to experience that. So at that point, is that how did you leave? Did you just stop going, or did you tell everybody that you didn't want to be a part of it anymore?
I ward hopped for quite a while actually. Like I would lie about my address. I would find friends and be like, "Hey, can I use your address for something?" And
Because you
I would
still wanted to go,
I still
but you
wanted.
didn't feel like they were
Yeah,
accepting you fully.
I understand that it can be congregation to congregation in the UK. It's potluck with bishops in the UK. Because we're so spread out, there's no way like members in another ward would know you.
Okay.
So it was potluck, and I wanted Evie to be very much a part of not the church, but some kind of spiritual. I wanted
Yeah.
her to have good morals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would hop for quite a while, and then it just got to the point where everyone in the UK knew us, like all the worlds knew me. So I just
Oh.
stopped. Yeah, stopped going,
Mm-hmm.
and then reached out to my home bishop. I was like, "Hey, I want my records taken off. I'm done. I've had some horrible experiences." And he was like, this is a different bishop that denied me the blessing.
Oh.
Completely different bishop at this point. And he was like, I'm sorry you've experienced that. Just know where we are if you need us. I'm like, too little, too late.
Yeah.
So I finally, it's took me a few years, but I got an email a few weeks ago saying my records had finally been removed. It's took me like 3 years.
Oh, really?
But
Took
they're
three
finally
years for
removed.
them to remove your name? Oh my gosh.
I don't know if that was because they had to hunt down where my records were, because I
Yeah.
couldn't even tell them what order my records were in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't know. Good luck. Here's my
Yeah.
name and date of birth.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if it was the fact that they had to hunt them down through the whole of the UK.
Yeah. So, well, okay, that's great to have that backstory. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I'm curious to know what has what has it been like as far as your spirituality goes since leaving? Like, have you had to experience much confusion around like the purpose of life or God and all that stuff that you had the answers within the church, but now you're like, wait a minute, I don't think that there's a lot wrong with that organization. So now where do you find yourself spiritually?
I bounced between churches. I went back to the church I went to when I went to university, which is a Pentecostal church. Just because friends went there, it was a safe, and you're safe. I knew I could turn it up how I wanted, as who I wanted, and nothing would be said. So I went there for a while, and then I found Community of Christ, which is the RLDS, used to be the RLDS church. So that's where I am spiritually. I'm just kind of finding my way with them. I got baptized at young adults camp back in August into that
Uh-huh.
church, which was an amazing experience to be able to be baptized as Leon and not as my birth name.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a really cleansing and healing week.
what is the church called?
The Community of Christ.
Oh, okay. Okay. I've heard of that.
Yeah, they share history up until Josie Smith's death.
Okay. Okay, yes. And I actually was actually listening to an interview with somebody recently of that was like a bishop or something from the Community of Christ Church. And I found it very interesting because I normally have been rejecting all religions, and I personally don't want to be a part of any religion, but the Community of Christ church, the way he described his beliefs, I was just like, huh, I think I can get behind that. Like I don't feel like I have to necessarily be in that church, but I can see where they're coming from. So that's really cool that's
It's a really nice church.
yeah, it sounds very open and
They're really affirming. Like they
yeah.
make sure they make a point of asking name and pronouns or
Oh,
prefer
that's
name and
really,
pronouns, which is
really
really
cool.
nice.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, that is so cool to hear that you found a space that gives you that sense of community and spiritual fulfillment, which is really, really good. I think all of us need to um, find the place that feels right for us, and it doesn't have to be anywhere. And that's the one thing that I had to brush out of my Mormon mindset. Like it has to be true, or it has to be only one. But now I'm just like, no, I think there can be so many different ways, and we never ever again have to say that my way is the way
Right.
and
Yeah.
everybody needs to do it my way. So I love hearing about everybody's unique journeys when it comes to finding that spiritual connection and community that we all, as humans, I think we all are seeking for something like that. So that's really cool to hear that. Now, as far as Did you have, did you say your mom or anybody, any other family member join? Just your
No,
ex-husband
just
or
well,
ex-boyfriend?
ex-boyfriend,
Baby daddy?
ex-baby daddy. I don't even call him that. I call him what we in England call a sperm donor, because that's all
Yeah,
he will ever be.
really.
That's
He's not even
all
in her life.
he's not allowed to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he's not on the birth certificate. He has no parental rights. He is
Mm,
just a sperm donor to me,
yeah.
and that's all he'll be to her.
Yeah. Which leaves things a little less complicated if he's still a member of the church, because that's where I always um, I'm interested to see how people navigate that when it's like one parent is still in and one is not, and then trying to figure out how to co-parent and come together with the difference in beliefs. And now we're going to raise the child, you know?
Yep, don't have to do that. Luckily,
Yeah, that's good. So your mom never ended up joining the church with you. So,
no. My mum, I wouldn't say my mum's anti-religion, but she does. Once we all turn, so I'm the youngest. So once I turned old enough to make my own decisions, she kind of ducked out a little bit of religion. She does
oh,
weddings, funerals, baptisms,
yeah,
the three main
she supports
parts.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like, we'll do weddings, funerals, and like baptisms and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So, now as far as were there any parts of your journey that were particularly challenging that now looking back you feel like you could give people some pieces of advice or encouragement?
I think I have two parts that were like really challenging. I lost all of my friendship circle when I left,
Mm,
because when you're 18, 19, moving away to university for the first time, the YSA become your family and your friends. Like, I knew nothing outside of the YSA building. I didn't go out clubbing. I didn't make friends at uni because I was like, YSA, we've got activities every night. So I had to find new friends,
yeah.
which sucks when you have a small child.
Yes, for
And
sure.
people, I think there's like two other people that I know that are my age that have kids, but they're married.
Oh,
So one of them goes out, one of them has the baby. I had to be like, hey, let's meet up, but I'll be bringing my, at the time, 7, 8 month old
oh yeah.
who needs constant attention.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I found a really good group of friends, luckily, that
Through your Community of Christ church or in other
um
ways?
through the Pentecostal church, through uni friends. I hit up a lot of old uni friends and was like, hey, sorry, I was an absolute ass. I had to apologize. I'm like, sorry for the things I said I was Mormon.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because it'd be like, hey, my church has this activity. Oh, let me tell you about the plan of salvation. Like, it was always, let me tell you about, let me tell you about, let me tell you about.
Really? Yeah. Isn't that
So I had to
fun
apologize.
fun and almost embarrassing at the same time to look back and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was the way I was, you know?
I was very stuck up about it because I was like, I'm a first generation Mormon. Like, I'm
Yeah.
the first person in my family to be baptized. Like, I'm the pioneer. Like, when I look back and I have conversations with people, and they're like, we literally never wanted you to show up to Christian Union, which is where all the like denominations of Christianity get together and hang
Oh,
out and worship and pray. Like,
yeah.
if you showed up, we panicked because we
Yeah.
didn't know what you were going to get up and say.
Did you watch by chance? I try not to keep up too much on what the church is doing right now because I'm trying to be out of that
Out.
space. I want to be in the growth mindset, which is what the purpose of these interviews are for. But I did, I'm catching glimpses of bits and pieces of Brad Willcox's talk. Did you see much about that? I just
Oh
watched
my
the part
God.
today that I didn't even hear until today, where he's making fun of these people. I think he said the Protestant church that he attended a Protestant church, and he's just like talking about how that's funny. They think they actually have the authority to bless
That,
people. They're
yeah.
just playing church. Like he actually saying it, like they're playing church, but we actually have the authority and they think it's so special. And he's like laughing and mocking at them. And I'm just like,
Which you
oh my gosh,
shouldn't
I was
do.
that way too, thinking that I had the
Yeah.
truth and all the other churches were wrong.
Oh, I the funny thing is, Brad Willcox used to be like my favorite speaker.
Oh, really?
Brad Willcox and John, by the way, were my two go-tos.
Yeah, John, by the
Because
way, for me.
I used to send my friends' life as like a football game.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't know that one. Was that John, by the way?
I think so. It was where they were talking about the war in heaven.
Okay.
But yeah, so Brad Willcox used to be my favorite one, and I defended him to hell and back until
Really?
the blacks in the church talk came up a few weeks ago, and I was
Oh
like,
my
I
God.
can't defend him anymore.
No way.
I physically can't without wanting to puke.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Ugh.
I'm still very much in. I don't want to say I'm in touch with the church. I have friends still very much in the church and really close friends that have been nothing but supportive.
Oh, that's great.
I have a friend that's currently a teacher at the MTC in Provo
Oh, really?
that I met while she was on her mission, whilst I was still trying to figure my life out.
Yeah.
So I have friends that are very much still very 100% supportive of me and 100% supportive of my journey.
That's great.
So I still know what's going on, and I still get the odd invites to conference. I'm like, I
Oh, you
love
do?
you, and I respect you. But send me the
That,
talks that you think I would like. Like they
yeah.
send me the talks that talk about mental health because I
Yeah.
know I'm a very big advocate on trans mental health and
Yes.
LGBT mental health. They're like, hey, this is a really good talk about mental health. Check it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I get the odd talks, and I respect that, and I send them talks and stuff from my church and things that I do with my church. It's like we share.
That's great. That's such a great way to be. Like, that's where I hope to step into a space where I wouldn't be triggered by that. I could actually hear a talk and appreciate it. I think that right now where I'm at is I want nothing to do with the Mormon church, but I
So
do think that there you can still find value in, and you can find a space where you can become tolerant and accepting of some of their beliefs and appreciate them, because there are some good things that they do teach. But I think for many of us too, I think I speak for a lot of us where it is challenging. So I admire you for having that kind of mentality where it's like,
yeah,
sure, I'll take some of that and leave what I don't like, take what I like.
yeah. It's really
That's
nice.
hard to be
It's
in that
my
space for me.
philosophy that I go to a lot of like recovery groups for a lot of different addictions. I'm struggling through and I'm fighting through. And at the end of most of them, it's Serenity Prayer. It's like take what you like and leave the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of apply that to most religions. I'm like, hey, I'll take that part of your doctrine, but I'll leave the rest of it.
I like that. That is really a good space to be in, because I I in the beginning especially, I was just like, I literally threw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm like, nope, nothing. And like even with God and Jesus and everything, I was just like, I can't. But now I'm finding myself able, in a space where I can hear some things about Jesus and be like, I kind of like that. I like that part. But it's been a very long, hard process for me to get back to that space where I can accept any of it back into my life. But I do think
It's
that
a
that can
hard
be a
line.
very empowering space to be in, where you're able to listen to anything and take the pieces that you like and leave the parts you don't, and not be so triggered or offended by the way people sometimes present it
Oh,
as
there's
the
still
truth.
talks. There's still parts and talks that I'm like, the minute I know it's about a certain topic. So anything about the family proclamation, anything about temples and ceilings, I
Oh,
can't. Like,
mm-hmm.
it's a major. So as a trans guy, I can't ever go into the temple if I, God forbid, if my child decides she wants to be a member of the church. I'm not going to stop her.
Yeah,
Like I say this, she can be a part of whatever church she wants to be, and I will support her wholeheartedly. But God forbid she becomes a Mormon and she gets baptized, and then 18 she wants to go on a mission, and I have to stand outside the temple and watch her go through and get her endowments. So that's
yeah,
something I never did. I never got my endowments because I wasn't in long enough.
yeah.
But I don't know what's going to go on. I don't know what they're going to do to her in there.
Well, you can look it up on YouTube.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
one thing
show her
I've.
beforehand and be like, I don't know. Like,
That's
it's a
one
little
thing I
creepy.
vowed I will never do. Is I
Oh,
will never
really?
look it up on YouTube. Just because I've got friends, obviously that's still really sacred to them.
That's great to be
So I do it
respectful in
as
that way.
respect. That
Yeah,
I've always said that I will never look up what happens in the temple as respect for my friends.
that's really sweet. I
But if
like
she
that.
does it,
Yeah.
If she decides to look it up at 18, that's not me.
Yeah, you're like, just saying, it's on YouTube if you're kind of curious
Just
to know
saying,
what's
it's open on the laptop. I'm gonna.
yeah. Like, I'm not gonna look at it, but I'm just letting you know it's out there.
Yeah, but I'm never gonna stop her. If
Yeah.
at 8 she decides, I've got friends that take her to church, to the Mormon church, every couple of months.
Oh, really?
I let her go to whatever church she wants. We've got a Catholic church just around the corner. We go there. She goes to the kids' church there.
Oh,
Very open with religion.
yeah, that's
Just
great.
go
I
by
like that. Well, let's finish up by I want to give you the opportunity to share anything else that you feel might be of use for people who may be fresh out and are dealing with a lot of the
the
pain
trauma. Yeah.
that maybe you also experienced, and talk about how you got to a better space around that or got
Um,
through those hard times.
take your time. I'm saying this. I know, like it sounds like I rushed out and I was like, I'm done. But take your time. Like, there's no rush in completely. I want to say completely healing. I feel like none of us are ever going to be completely healed from what
Yeah,
that church did to us.
totally. Yeah.
But we can get to a point where we're healed enough that we can joke about it. Like, I joke
Yeah.
about my Mormon experiences quite a lot with my friends. I'm
I
like,
think that's a good
back when
space
I
to
was a
be in.
Mormon.
Yeah, for sure. Like, let's laugh about it.
Humor is a big part of my recovery.
Oh, that's great. That's really good advice.
Take
And I would
humor.
agree. Like for me, when I can just laugh, like I was literally laughing so hard at the Brad Willcox thing. Normally, I think I would have been very angry and triggered,
Yeah.
but I was just like, oh my gosh, that is hilarious. And me and Sean, my husband, were both joking about like, what if he was actually an ex-Mormon playing a trick on, on
On
all
the
the
whole
members because he
church.
wants to see how crazy and out there he can be and how much he can offend people.
That would be funny.
I know.
That's a good theory, actually.
I know. And then he's like, I wish I could like actually go back and do that. Like he would just have a ball just playing playing
Think
within the
so.
church.
I could, because it's been so long that no one would know me.
Yeah.
Like, from what I've seen, like, the whole world's completely flipped and changed. So there's no one there that would know me. So I could legit walk through the doors and be like, tell me about your church.
Yeah. That would be a
I
fun
could.
experiment. You could just see it as a full-on experiment, you know. Let me see what I can say.
Yeah, like, might just rock up to the primary presentation one day because I want to be there for my kid. I want to get to the point where I could walk into the church and sit down and watch my kid in the primary presentation. Not
Yeah.
quite there. I
Yeah.
I live a 5 minute walk from the local
Oh,
ward.
really?
So I very often see the sisters walking around and I'm like, headphones in and walk down, headphones in. Like, because I can't.
Yeah.
I'm not quite there. But yeah, take your time. Humor is my healing.
Mm-hmm.
But talk it out. Don't do what I did. I sat and burned, essentially, for weeks and months until I spoke. Admittedly, as a member of the church, because she's my best friend. There's nothing that we can't say to each other at this point. We've been through a lot. But it was months and I cut everyone out of my life. I didn't talk to anyone. And eventually I just sat there and ranted at her. Like, this is everything I'm going through. So don't hold it in. Find someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Because it screws
sure.
your mental health so much, just sitting there and replaying the abuse and the trauma. And yeah, it's not good for your mental
Sure.
health.
I agree. I think that's an important piece to healing and like processing, letting it all out, letting it go is by having somebody that you can talk to, which I do feel like the Mormon Enlightenment space is
Yeah.
can provide that for people if they don't have anyone that they feel safe to talk to about the things, you know, they might be hiding at this point because it just feels like there's too much writing on being actually open and vulnerable about what they're really going through internally as far as their beliefs and their questions go. So I do think it's an important piece to the healing process is to have somebody you can talk to and talk about it for a couple years if you need to, you know,
Yeah.
like it might take that long. And that's what I found for Sean and I. It definitely took a good solid 2 years for us that we were obsessively talking about it. And we needed that. We needed to talk about it every single day, all day for 2 years.
Well, it makes me laugh because when you leave the church, people go, well, you've left the church, but you can't leave it alone. I'm like, yeah, because I'm processing what I've gone through.
Yeah.
And I
It's
don't
a
think
lot to rewire the
members,
brain.
they don't understand that. They don't understand that we've got to rewire our whole lifestyle. So no, we can't
Totally.
leave it alone whilst we leave.
Yeah. Yes. Well, this has been really fun to get to know you and your experience. Very unique, very, very unique in a lot of different ways. So I appreciate you sharing your perspective and your story and even your words of advice because it's very, very helpful. Humor, talking, and time.
Yeah.
I love it. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Leon. I sure enjoyed getting to know you. I'm grateful to have you as part of our Mormon Enlightenment community, and it's just a wonderful space to have all different walks of lives and stories and advice and experiences. So, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being on, and thank you for those who are joining us. If you are just